So the sister's going to talk about how them folks really think that we actually are a monolith, and they're starting to find out the hard way about delineation and why we are not any kind of monolith, especially with the delineation movement. Let's go ahead and check this out.
I learned today that they really do believe that black people are a monolith. Let me tell you how I learned it. So many people approached me today. They want to talk about the election. So I was out around the courthouse talking to some fellow lawyers. Now that's important because there are other lawyers who are comfortable talking to me because we've had a legal relationship for the better part of 20 years. And so one has recently moved to Virginia, and she is from the Pennsylvania area, and she was just happened to be at the courthouse, and she's like, hey, let's grab lunch. What we did. Anyway, that's just an aside. So I need you to know that she's from Pennsylvania, that Pennsylvania part that I talked to you about, and she has moved to Virginia. And so she's talking to me, and she says, I just don't understand how Winsome lost. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, I really thought that you guys would vote her in. What? Yeah, she would have been the first black woman governor in the United States. And there's such a large black population. And then we find out that like 90% of black people like voted for Spanberger. I'm so confused. And we've been talking about it. I said, well, you've been talking about it to everybody but us. And so she said, what do you mean? I was like, have you seen that woman? And she's like, yeah. I said, everything about that woman said that we weren't going to vote for her. And she was like, what are you talking about? I said, that woman always looked like me on the day that I need to go get my hair done. Not on the day that I'm showing up for the cameras and to be out here public speaking. I said, but on top of that, I said, that she's of Jamaican descent. She said, yeah. I mean, that's great. She's like, she's an immigrant. I said, okay, well, let's talk about that. I said, she's of Jamaican descent and has told you that she's basically been the beneficiary of all of the DEI, all of the affirmative action, all of the programs, all of the social network that has been created on the backs of, African-American descendant slaves. She's like, I've never heard that term before. And I'm like, yeah, African-American descendant slaves. I was like, that's a very specific group. I said, and we have a very specific relationship to the United States because of it. She's like, well, yeah, but what's that got to do with it? I said, well, I was like, many times immigrants, and especially ones who look like me, they get the benefit of the things that we fought for, but they don't understand the struggles of where we've been. So we get a lot of that, in the media. And she's like, I said, so example is like Cynthia Erivo. And she's like, I don't. I said, haven't you ever seen all the backlash we get about the things that she says? And she doesn't understand it. And she's like, yeah, well, I said, hey, awesomely lovely. That's another one that, recently been issued. But I just don't understand. I said, because it's not for you to understand. What I need y'all to do is stay out of our business.
There's so much in this video that we need to get to. But let's go first and foremost. What she said about Winsome Sears and her hair. Now, let's start there. One thing about Black American culture is that we believe in excellence, and we believe that if anybody going to be any kind of representation of us, they're going to have to look right. Your hair going to have to be combed. You're going to have to present yourself nice. Just call it what it is. You can call it respectability. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But that's how Black Americans are. You heard what she said, that a woman looking around like I look in the morning. Black folks not going to take you seriously. They just not. Listen, I'm going to tell you from personal experience. Years ago, I didn't used to put on, jackets, suit jackets, shirts, stuff like that. I didn't do that when I first started. And when I got with a branding person, they were talking about taking my platform to the next level and going a little bit more professional and understanding the culture. When I immediately switched to start putting on a jacket, shirts, whatever, just looking more presentable, more polished, right? People started taking me more seriously when I did it. And so when Black folks have had commentary about what we do, they say, oh, y'all always look so, professional. Y'all look polished. Y'all sound good. Why? Because we present ourselves in a way that black Americans can respect. That's just how we are. You can't fight the culture. It is what it is. You may not agree with somebody like, well, you ain't got to do this and that and the third. Most black folks not going to listen to you if you're not presenting yourself in a way that they can look at you and say, okay, I can take him seriously. I can take her seriously. That's bottom line. That's number one. Number two, Winsome Sears. Just because she's quote unquote black, she's not black American. And Winsome Sears have made little comments and little digs about our lineage on Fox News. Black Americans don't rock with that. It is not so much that she's a Republican, it's the fact that she takes a lot of talking points. And so they look at in the election that black folks voted for the Democrat white woman over the black woman. And white folks, like I said, they freaked out by that because they thought, oh, she's going to get the black vote just because she's black. That's the dumbest thing ever. Do white people get the vote just because they white? With y'all? Y'all don't even vote for a white person that's white. Y'all vote for a white person that's a Republican, according to statistics. Winsome Sears, she couldn't even get an endorsement from Donald Trump, which hurt her campaign too. He wouldn't even endorse her. You know what I'm saying? So that says a lot about them. My thing is, I always say to quote unquote black conservatives, like, what are you trying to conserve? I understand what white people are trying to conserve. I get it. But what are you trying to conserve in this system? I have no problem with moral living, being ethical. Sure, I'm all about morality, ethics, living by God's word. I don't think that should be called conservative at all. I think it should be called right living. You understand? But anytime you approach a black conservative and really press them on what the party is saying, we don't be pushing that. We be doing like, bro, but you labeled yourself as a conservative. So you got to take what they talking about. Now, if you're a black independent, then you're free. Nobody can put no party on you. You know what I'm saying? I'm a firm believer of black political independence. Black people shouldn't be Democrats. Black people shouldn't be Republicans, in my opinion. Black people should be independent, and they can go either way they want to based on what our collective interests are as black Americans. That way you're not beholden to no political party. Everybody should work for our vote. Period. But these folks are finding out, the hard way about delineation. And they're going to continue to find out about delineation. And because of delineation, they can't use a Winsome Sears anymore to do anything. See, Winsome's black. See, she said it, not me. You can't use Winsome no more because of the delineation movement. The delineation movement has circled the wagons and also started gatekeeping the culture. So white America, it's a new day. If you want to approach black America, you got to approach black America the right way. And we gatekeeping the culture, period.